I'm sitting in Castledor Studios in Orlando, Florida with Krista Shirley, owner and operator of the Yoga Shala. She taught me Ashtanga Yoga. Hi.
Hi. It's nice to be here.
It's so great having you. We were already talking about, I was trying not to talk about some things earlier because you have a lot to offer. And I think it's been 2 years since I started, or it's been like a year and a half, something like that.
Yeah,
almost 2 years. And you've traveled to India throughout your whole life, practicing Ashtanga Yoga there in Mysore?
Mysore, India, yeah. So Mysore is in Karnataka, which is in the southern part of India. And I started going there in 2006 to study at the Ashtanga Yoga Research Institute, now called the Pattabhi Joyce Ashtanga Yoga Research Institute. And I went every single year. I mean, I've pretty much gone every year for most of my life since 2006 to go study and deepen my practice and studies and learn Ayurveda and definitely asana practice, meditation, pranayama, and just experience more other cultures. It's a phenomenal place. India's one of the most magical countries I've ever been to. But I've been blessed for the last many years, probably since about 2011, to get to travel around to various different states and different countries to teach workshops or retreats. So it's taken me a lot of places around this world, for sure.
Yeah, you're traveling yoga. You travel like every month, almost, for a long time you were. And when did you... So you're from Florida originally?
No, I'm actually originally from South Carolina, born and raised. I graduated from high school there, and I came here to go to school at Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida.
Oh, yeah. Same. We both went to the same school. I forgot. Yeah, that's awesome. And so when did you try yoga for the first time in Florida?
Yes. So when I was in my junior year, I went to Greece for a semester abroad, and I'd never been out of the country before. And when I came back from Greece, I felt like the world was a different place. I had changed so much, but everybody around me seemed the same. It was a really strange place for me at that time. And around that exact same time I found yoga, I remember I was at my gym working out, and there was a description for a power yoga class, and it would tell you it would sweat and fast-paced movements. And I had previously tried a yoga class maybe a year before that, but it was really slow, and I did not enjoy it at all.
Oh, okay.
And so I checked out this yoga class, and it was Ashtanga Yoga disguised as power yoga, because back then it was hard to use the word Ashtanga. You had to use very basic terms for yoga because it somehow scared people. And I fell in love from the very moment because this woman was speaking in Sanskrit. It was extremely fast-paced. It was very focused on how you breathe and controlling your breath. That way you control your body.
Gotcha.
And already seeing a lot of the history steeped into the practice. And I fell in love from day one.
So it's almost like, because there's like a lack of culture in the country sometimes when you travel to, like you went to Greece, right? And you probably, there's like this real richness.
Very rich.
And you probably found that again in yoga after that class, you think? Like when you started hearing the Sanskrit and all that things, it was like something outside of...
Well, I did. So my major in college was in classical studies and anthropology with minor in archaeology.
Oh, okay.
So I was very inundated with, ancient Greek, ancient Roman, ancient Egyptology, and I studied a lot of Latin. The dead language component to it was definitely sexy to me somehow. Because Sanskrit's dead, so like, hey, Latin is too. I feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's crazy. You went after both of those. Yeah, there's something there.
Yeah.
So when did you decide that you wanted to you start making it part of your practice immediately, like a part of your daily or weekly? How did that start?
When I'd gotten back from Greece, I at that point was working on my double major and a minor, which my advisor told me was insane. I could never get done in 4 years, and so I liked that challenge. And that summer, when I kind of found yoga, summer school classes were starting, and so I was taking every summer school class that I possibly could. And after maybe 3 weeks of taking classes at this gym, my summer school classes interfered with those gym classes, and she said, well, you should come check out this place called Winter Park Yoga. They offer what's called Mysore-style, because I was taking these lead classes that most people who do yoga are used to these lead class styles. And she said, this is really the way to learn Ashtanga Yoga. You really have to check it out. And so I went there because the classes were at 6 a.m. in the morning, so I could do them before I went to my classes at school.
Yeah.
And that was a life changer for me. In the beginning, it was very frustrating because, of course, you're taught a certain sequence that you have to remember before you get taught more. And my first teacher there was named Ronaldo, and he was very strict. Like he was like, no, you have to do it again until you remember it. And I was like, I don't remember it. Just tell me. But I liked the challenge with that too. And then I also very quickly, so after 3 months of working with him, he moved away to California. And then I had no teachers in town. I mean, back then, Ashtanga Yoga was not very, there was a man in Winter Park named Lewis Rodline who owned Full Circle Yoga back then. And he offered a modified variation of Ashtanga Yoga classes. They were all lead classes. But once you go Mysore, you really can't go back to lead.
Right.
So yeah, I was kind of on my own after that 3-month period of time, but I had a self-practice discipline at that point.
That's what's great about Mysore-style too.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So I continued on. I mean, basically, I've been a self-practitioner since 3 months into my practice, truthfully.
Wow.
And I would find places that I could do yoga to practice, because Winter Park Yoga let me practice there, self-practice, until they closed that December.
Cool.
And then Lewis actually let me hold a self-practice group for a while. But yeah, I was doing all this. Finished summer school classes, went into my senior year in college, still with every intention to go into graduate school for nautical archaeology of classical sites, specialized in the late Bronze Age.
Nerd.
Wow. Yeah, so anyway, going through my senior year, really stressful, really, really stressful time for me, physically, mentally, emotionally, and the practice was it was my sanity, it was everything to me. And I remember graduating from college that year, and I'd gotten accepted to the graduate school I wanted to go to. My mom had gotten really, really sick. So I deferred graduate school and went to South Carolina to be with my mother for a while. She had open heart surgery and many other crazy ailments. And just practicing yoga. And around that same time, I started teaching part-time, because the woman who first introduced me to this practice was moving away to go to Scotland to work on her master's degree. And so she wanted me to take over all these various random classes she was teaching in town. And so I started teaching some yoga to make money and was helping my mom. And before I knew it, all I wanted to do was get to India.
Yeah, you were hooked.
Oh yeah. So basically, the year I deferred graduate school, I was working and helping my mother. And then as soon as I had enough money saved, bought my ticket to India.
And so because Joyce really popularized Ashtanga, right?
Yes.
And he was certifying people at that. Like he had a large following, people would come there. So that was something you were attracted to.
Well, and I didn't, truth is, like many people, when you start yoga, if you ask somebody and they do yoga, a lot of people don't know what kind they're doing. They don't know anything about it until you get to know something about it. So when I first started, I knew nothing about the practice. But once I got pretty deep into it, I knew Pattabhi Joyce and Sharat had a week-long workshop in New York. And then I went to that. And when I went to that and met Pattabhi Joyce and Sharat, I knew I wanted to go study in India. Now, let me backtrack. So in 2000, right after graduation, that November, I went to Thailand to do my first teacher training at what's called Centered Yoga in Thailand. And it was with a teacher who was certified by Pattabhi Joyce. So I really started to understand a great deal more about how that all works. If you want to be certified or authorized by the Institute in India, then you have to make 4 trips there of at least 3 months each before you can receive authorization. And then certification comes after. And to receive authorization, typically you have to have mastered second series. And in Ashtanga Yoga, there's 6 series. So there's over a lifetime of practice to learn. But to get certified, you have to have spent, I believe it was at least 10 years there. I'm trying to remember back when Pattabhi Joyce was alive, 10 trips. And at least have mastered third series or advanced A series. Wow.
And so there's a difference between authorization and certification?
Yes. So when Pattabhi Joyce was alive, there was just authorization and certification. Authorization meant that you'd mastered intermediate or second series in the practice, and that you had visited and spent at least 4 trips, 3 months each, under his guidance, under his practice. To be certified meant that you had gone at least 10 times to India and had mastered at least through advanced A series or third series of yoga. Okay. But now it's even different. Once Sharat Rangaswamy, who is now Sharat Joyce, that was Guruji's grandfather, or Pattabhi Joyce's grandfather. I don't know if I'm confusing those of you listening.
So who's there now?
So Sharat is there now.
And that's how is he related?
He is the grandson of Pattabhi Joyce.
Okay.
So once he took over when Guruji passed away in 2010, I'm trying to remember now my dates. Pattabhi Joyce died in 2009, May of 2009, because I had my son in May of 2010. So, okay.
I got you.
So once he passed away and Sharat took over, he eventually changed it to authorization level 1, authorization level 2, certification level
Much
1,
more
and certification level 2.
Makes kind of sense, right?
Yeah, so be authorized level 1 means you've mastered primary series and made, I don't know, I'm guessing 2 trips. I really don't keep track of all that anymore. And authorization level 2 is to have mastered intermediate, and typically 4 trips. And then certification level 1, I'm assuming, would be advanced A and then advanced B, or also known as 3rd and 4th
And
series.
each of these trips are 3 months?
It varies. I mean, my last trip there, I only was able to go for a month. Once I got divorced and had my own business, brick and mortar business, and
Sure. Yeah, you had
things changed. But the first 4 trips there, I mean, my first trip there, I was there for 10 months.
10 months?
10
Whoa.
months. I renounced my life. I I sold what I could. I gave
Were you
stuff
even
away.
allowed to be there that long?
Actually, back then you could.
Oh, okay.
Well, you only were allowed you were only in the country for 6 months, but you could do visa runs. And so I did a visa run to Thailand to see my old teacher and do a couple courses. And then I bounced back to India until I was robbed, and then I came home.
Like on the street or like your house?
No, I had moved into another flat in Mysore, and it was actually a brand new building. And the night that they had a big puja to celebrate the opening of this beautiful big apartment that was made for yogis. Cool. And the night of the big puja, I slept in the apartment and I literally woke up in the middle of the night to a man standing over my bed with a hand on the wall, looking down at me. And I screamed really loudly, and he ran out. But I guess he had somebody with him in my room getting things out, and they had stolen pretty much everything of value. Wow. So after that experience, I decided it must be time for me to go home. I was also pretty much out of money anyway.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'll be back. And I actually went back the very next summer for 3 more months. So my first trip was 10 months. I think my second and third trip were 3 months. And then my fourth trip was 3 months.
When you're there, you're practicing every day?
Every day except for the moon day. So the full and the new moon. Yeah.
So you wake up, Saturdays you go off to the Shala?
You'd wake up, and my arrival time was 4 a.m. Shala time, which meant 3:45 a.m. real time to show up to start practice. But even though that sounds crazy, it was most ideal in my mind to be the first in the group to practice, because after the first group comes in, then you have to wait in the hall until spots open up, and they call one more. And then
it's like you're waiting for people to leave.
Yeah, you're waiting for people to leave, and then it just gets hotter and sweatier and muggier, and so the more in that time of day, it is a magical hour. Even here for me, typically a morning will be that practice class starts at 6:30, but I do my practice beforehand. So, I mean, I'm used to waking up at 3 a.m. for well over a decade now.
That's your norm. I used to go early when I first started. When I didn't work until 1 a.m. But that was the best. I don't know how to say this. The best, like, kind of regular schedule I had. Getting up and doing that first, and the sun. You kind of getting up with the sun, and I don't know. I was in a weird place where I just moved back from California. I didn't really know what I was doing here yet. My father was sick, and I didn't know. I had like this job at Ethos, the vegan restaurant down the street.
Okay.
Right. And I didn't really know what I was doing there or what I was doing here. I just kind of moved back and to be near family and stuff. And it was just a big kind of transition period for me. And getting up that early and starting my day off made me so much more productive and, just balanced, not stressed. I needed it.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't have, I don't know. It's like my back was against the wall and that was the way, forward. And, I don't know. Now it's something like you said earlier. I have the practice, so even though right now that schedule isn't feasible, I have that memorized sequence. It's not the full sequence yet. I'm still very much a beginner, but it's I think it's just the ability you have to be with yourself, be with your body,
100%,
and no matter where you are. And I still hear your voice. Push your foot down. What is it? Opposite. What you say? Opposite.
Press down and out. Opposition of forces.
Opposition of forces. Yeah, that's it. Mulabandha. All that. So, yeah. It's very valuable to me. The time that I've spent there so far.
We love having you.
It's definitely a home. Every time I'm there, I'm just comfortable.
Yeah.
So you're switching gears now, though, a bit. You're going to start doing guided meditations? I
am going to be starting to do some guided meditations. Some people say they like my voice. I don't know that I like my own voice. But for many years, what's fascinating, it's just like anything, I guess. But I've been teaching for so long now. I've seen so many students come and go. They move away from Orlando. And I have but I've also traveled quite a bit. I mean, I spent many months in Scotland teaching people that I still stay in touch with today that'll message me from, 12 years ago and say, you are my very first yoga teacher and I'm still practicing. So people will constantly message me and say, I really would love for you to do like a guided lead primary that's accessible that I can purchase online, or guided meditations that are accessible that I can purchase online.
Yeah.
They say like you do, they say, I still hear you in my head when I'm practicing on my own, but I would love to have your voice to lead me through a practice, or I would love to have your voice to lead me through how to do my pranayama practice or my meditation practice. Sure. And it's something that I've never done, probably because I don't really like the sound of my own voice. But it's something that I'm starting to get an itch to do.
Yeah.
So yes, so that is kind of in the works. The first thing that I want to do is my first guided meditation that's like properly done professionally anyway. Yeah. And then kind of see how much fun that is. I think it's going to be pretty fun.
Yeah, because it's definitely in line with your passion, I'd say. Yeah. It's new, though. So
to do guided meditations is not new, but to do it, to record for audio isn't. Right, no, because I've had meditation and pranayama and yoga asana practice for many, many years.
Gotcha.
But when I teach workshops, for example, I always incorporate pranayama meditation and asana. But the majority of students who come to the Shala, it's Mysore class. So it's not unless they're doing our apprenticeship program that they go delving deeper into pranayama and meditation.
And pranayama is the breathing.
Yes, pranayama is breath
one of the
work.
8 limbs?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Hey, I'm so proud of you.
My gosh, yeah. So there's, Shelby and I talked about this briefly, but what are the 8 limbs? There's the hatha, is that or what's the physical?
The physical is asana. So
Asana, just asana.
We have yama, niyama, pranayama, pratyahara, dhyana, and dhyana.
Okay. One of those is sound too, right? Or like mantra or something?
Well, chanting isn't really a limb. Mantra isn't a limb specifically. Okay. But the 3rd limb is asana. The 4th limb is breath work, pranayama. Gotcha. Pranayam. Prana is life force energy. Ayama is extending or expanding or pausing that life force energy.
Okay.
So the breath work.
The breath work.
Yeah.
What you're saying the first one's going to be a garden meditation.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, I've been kind of playing with it, but I love to do some guided meditations. Most of my meditations are just me, myself. But the idea of a garden meditation is to have some sound in the background of birds and waterfalls or lake water of some sort.
Okay.
And then I'm guiding you into getting yourself into a very quiet space. And then you close your eyes, and then we create an imagery, and I get you to a beautiful garden that's full of lush green grass and butterflies and colorful flowers and a little pond and really beautiful clouds and they're creating that imagery, that visualization. And so I thought, where do I like to go most when I'm doing a guided visualized meditation? And for me, it's like a beautiful garden.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take you into that beautiful garden with visualization. And then once we're there, we're going to work with our breath while in the garden and work with our mind space within the garden. And that teaches you how to quiet your mind and detach from your normal day-to-day life and realize that you have the capacity to actually go inside your own self to find all the things that you need in terms of stress reduction, in terms of learning how to control your anxiety. Meditation is so beneficial on a billion different spectrums. But one of the things that I really want to focus on in the beginning is just teaching people you are in control of your mind. And let's work with something really simple and beautiful and fun to get into that space. It's going to show you and make you feel relaxed. And the ultimate goal is that we can take this out into everyday life and learn how to actually control ourselves when we get agitated or anxious or frustrated or angry.
Yeah, because there's no, yoga is kind of the only user's manual kind of to your own brain, your own emotions.
Well, I think so, but there are people that disagree with you there.
Maybe. Well, but as far as dealing with your emotions, when you said anxious, depression and stuff, there's obviously just physically practicing always makes me feel just amazing. But it's interesting to just be able to take a step back and look at the way you're thinking. And I think being meditative is just kind of having that perspective.
Most definitely.
What would you say, what's the goal of meditation? Is there a goal?
Well, so the word meditation, it's funny because people say, oh, I'm going to go meditate.
Right.
You can't actually meditate. Meditation happens. What I mean by that is meditation is truly creating longer spaces between the thoughts in your mind. So what we do is practice concentration. We go sit and we concentrate on quieting our mind.
Right.
But over time, through that consistent effort of concentrating on being mindful, then the meditation becomes us. So to answer your question, what is the goal of meditation?
Sure.
I think the simplest goal of meditation is just to create longer spaces between the thoughts in your mind. But what does that do for us? And that does so many things for us, each person being different. But the more that we create longer spaces between the thoughts in our mind, no longer is our mind a monkey mind. No longer are we racing from thought to thought and feeling in no way able to control those thoughts. We have billions of thoughts throughout a week, but we don't think necessarily that we control, like, oh my God, I just thought this.
Right.
But by practicing concentrating on your mind thoughts or quieting those mind thoughts, you then train yourself to realize you actually can control the thoughts which you have. You can choose your thoughts.
Right.
Which I'm not going to go into a whole other tangent today. But I think the simplest goal of meditation is to create longer spaces in your mind. Why? So we can become more mindful and aware of self. Why? So we can learn how to better control self. Why? So we can be in control of our lives and therefore really be in control of our destiny. And how we,
Sure.
we only have a limited number of years on this planet. I'm not going to have a discussion about whether or not you believe in reincarnation or not, but either way, this is the life that we have. And a lot of people sometimes feel a slave to it. They feel they don't have control of it, or
Your mind can become compulsive.
yes,
Right. And you want to have more control over your own destiny. And like, just because you react to something, you maybe don't necessarily have to react as much as respond to it with like a conscious kind of
consciousness.
Yeah.
That's a perfect way to say it. Just being more conscious.
Yeah.
We everything's autopilot for many of us nowadays, especially in today's society. We want things fast, quick. And we don't even, everything's knee-jerk reaction anymore. And the reality is a lot of the things the behaviors that we have are just byproducts of who we were yesterday. Who we are today is truly who we were yesterday. And if we choose consciously how we think about today and who we want to be today, then we're really creating who we are tomorrow. So in my mind, a lot of what meditation is helping us learn that one fact.
Wow, it's like it can be. I feel like it can almost be simple once you get like that. I don't want to call it a habit because I don't want to talk about something that's compulsory. But like once you get like the practice of it, I was in the military, and the whole time I was in the military, I was really angry. Growing up and stuff too, I was just really kind of angry, and And when I got out of the military, it's the first time my sister, her and my mother, they were going to yoga, and I went, and once I started reading some of the books and stuff they had, I was like, maybe I don't have to be angry all the time. Maybe I can actually just be aware of my anger and let myself be angry. And then it kind of just, it's interesting once you let yourself just have whatever negative emotion or whatever emotion you're having, but you just recognize it, how it kind of just doesn't have control over you anymore.
Exactly.
It can just go away. Because we start getting that cycle, where things are just perpetuating. Oh, yeah, meditation. I can't wait to hear your
the meditation I do.
Guided meditation.
Yeah.
This is going to be on your online website, right?
It will be. Thanks to you and Zach, actually.
Yeah, Zach,
kind of
really.
Creating some. We'll have it on the website, and we'll also have it available through iTunes, and see where we go from there. But It's kind of a work in progress for sure.
What's the name of your website? K Club.
It's still the Yoga Shala. So if you if you wanted to look at the studio website, it's K Club Yoga at the Yoga Shala, but the website is just kclubyoga.com, and it'll be on that, but it'll also be on my website, which is KristaShirley.com.
KristaShirley.com. I'm gonna put all this stuff in the
cool.
the bio section. We're gonna take like a 2-minute break for us.
Okay.
I'm gonna plug Castledor Studios real quick. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Cool. And now a few words about our sponsor. Castledor Studios is a music production house located in Orlando, Florida, and it's where I choose to record episodes of The Orange Lando Show. The studio features a blend of vintage and modern equipment and can accommodate musical artists of any genre, voiceover recordings, and, of course, podcasts. They can help with anything audio related. Castledor Studios offers free tours. Come check out their amazing facility for free. There's nothing to lose. They also offer free open house events like their monthly songwriter night where artists share and critique each other's work. It's free, people. Every session you book with Castledor Studios will be professional, private, and inspiring. If you have a creative idea, take action now and contact Castledor Studios at castledorstudios.com. Use reference code OrangeLando to receive a 10% discount on your first booking. All right, back to the show. Cool. So that was our little break. So if you're gonna do the guided meditation, you're also into essential oils.
I love essential oils.
And
addicted.
I only have a few. This is my essential oil experience. I have spearmint and I have lavender.
Oh God.
And I don't know.
I mean, lavender's great. Go ahead.
Spearmint, no.
No, it's just if that's your essential oil kit, we gotta.
Yeah.
We gotta hook
so
you up.
I don't know what I'm. Yeah. you have
hundreds of oils.
Yeah, I can't even. It's.
I have a diffuser in every room in my house.
Do you?
I do.
I do have one in my room.
I'm proud of you.
It's a little minty, a little lavendery, whatever. I mix it up usually. And so what's the future for you with essential oils? Actually, what's the benefit to essential oils? Like,
again, there are so many benefits, but essential oils are the purest part of a plant, and they really help you. Excuse me, with health and wellness. They help you with your mind. I mean, if you're using. Let me just go back and say that way back in the day, before there was modern medicine, essential oils were really and truly used for medicinal purposes. Nowadays with the FDA requirements and stuff like that, we can't say, oh, well, this will actually help your cold or this will help your anxiety. But essential oils are ancient, truly ancient medicinal therapeutic properties that help human beings with various different ailments, literally from mental to physical problems that you have. It's not just to smell good. And I will try not to get on a tangent, but you need to make sure that you're getting quality grade A essential oils, because most things nowadays, just like every other type of any product in the world, there's good and bad, but the FDA has very loose requirements on essential oil. They actually only need to be 5% essential oil to be considered the grade A quality essential oil. 5%. Or therapeutic grade essential oil. So a lot of them are filled with alcohol and fillers and things like hexane that are actually proved to cause cancer. But once you have a true therapeutic grade A quality oil, those are the ones that'll help you. And those are the ones that not just smell good, but physically help you. So why do we use them? Like, my son has terrible allergies, and he gets respiratory issues a lot. And so I use eucalyptus, and that immediately helps him feel better and fixes things. Spearmint is good for acne. Lavender is amazing for helping you to relax and definitely for sleep. So you better believe that lavender is in almost every diffuser at nighttime. Yeah. But there are so many different oils, and each particular oil does something very, very different. So it's kind of like, well, what are you looking for? Like lavender is even good for your skin. Helichrysum, rose oil. There are so many oils that are really good for your skin. Cedarwood helps with your complexion, but it also helps with digestion. I mean, it's amazing. Wow. Yeah.
I remember, I think you gave us all a gift at the Shala when, I don't remember what it was for, but you made like a mat cleaner, I think, or something. Did it have oils in it?
It did. So the mat cleaner is actually all natural. It's truly pH balanced water from my Kangen water filtration system, and Thieves essential oil. And Thieves essential oil is a proprietary blend oil from a Young Living company, which is the company I buy all my stuff from because they're really well known. And it's an oil blend, and that particular essential oil is very good for cleaning, very good for therapeutic benefits of keeping yourself healthy. So the Thieves oil, like Young Living's entire cleaning line is based on Thieves products. So like, for example, their household cleaner is a very concentrated Thieves oil blend. And I literally put in a glass bottle. I put a tablespoon of that with a tablespoon of vinegar and fill the rest of it up with water. And I clean every single surface in my house. And there's no chemicals.
That's where it's at, right? No chemicals.
And so the mat cleaner that I gave to you guys, which smells delicious.
It does.
It's just water and the Thieves oil, and that's it.
I still have a little bit. I kind of like, it's one of those things I don't want to run out of.
Oh, I can hook you up, man. You know where to go.
Yeah, I know. I just haven't asked. Wow. So these things, like, they go back as far as like indigenous medicine, kind of like
Absolutely.
These are people just figuring out things by kind of like trial and error, like in nature.
Most definitely. I mean, it comes down like,
history.
you know, for example, like sandalwood essential oil, that typically came from India many thousands of years ago.
Okay.
But most of the sandalwood trees have been depleted in India. So I think most of the sandalwood now is being grown in a different country. I don't remember where. But the benefits of some of these oils from thousands of years ago were discovered as indigenous people or people from many years ago were trying to figure out how to heal the body, for sure.
Cool.
So we've learned those benefits, and now we're able to appreciate them. But unfortunately, and fortunately, I mean, modern medicine has a great place, you know, acute issues. And I mean, I've had surgeries and stuff like that, but I do try to stay as natural as I can. And these oils are really helpful. It's why grab some synthetic ingredient that's going to only harm your body when you could use an alternative that's completely toxic free. Like, for example, if I can say one thing to everybody out there, one of the most toxic things in your house are the air plug-ins that people plug into their walls and dryer sheets, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes.
It just puts a bunch of things into the air that you don't want, chemicals.
And your body. The dryer sheets get onto the clothes that get into your skin. Your skin is the largest human organ you have. Yes. And then the air plug-ins goes into the air, and then you're breathing it in through your respiratory system. So you're breathing in toxic chemical, and people wonder why we're the sickest. We are the sickest people that have ever been on the face of the earth.
Right.
You know, it's insane. And it's because of the stuff that we're breathing and that we're putting into our bodies, you know? I mean, I try to stay away from plastic as much as possible, because it's not just if you let your plastic bottle sit out in your car for 3 hours, but you're consuming plastic when you drink out of plastic. So drink out of glass, you know? I could go on so many different tangents, but...
Well, this is becoming more mainstream thought now, though. I mean, there was... it was something I saw, but I think it was prior to like early 90s or late 80s. There were no plastic water bottles, like reusable water bottles. Like it wasn't a thing. There was glass bottles,
right?
And that's not that long ago. Like it's obviously one of those things we don't need. But I don't know. You hear it a lot more, at least in politics or whatnot. People being a lot more conscious with the whole global warming thing and their footprint in the ocean and plastic. You know, so I mean now. The bar restaurant I work at Universal Studios, we only have the whole property only does paper straws, which is like, we still have plastic cups that we put the paper straw in, so it's kind of like, what the fuck are we doing? You know, saving the world. But
it's a step in the right direction.
It's a step in the right direction. The way I see it is like, okay, like somehow this happened, anything can change. And I remember when I started going to the grocery store with my own bag, and I was like, oh, this isn't a big deal at all. I can totally just bring a bag to the grocery store, you know? I'm optimistic.
I definitely am optimistic. It's just, we got a long way to go.
Yeah.
We really do.
Sure. But it's beneficial to, and whatever's beneficial to the earth is beneficial to us. So shoot, Ashtanga Yoga, I want to kind of learn a little bit more. I kind of want to tell people like what they can expect if they start Ashtanga. And I don't really know how people practice Ashtanga outside of the Mysore-style. That's really the like...
That is, the traditional method of learning Ashtanga Yoga is through the Mysore method. If anybody out there listening, if you take yoga classes, you're typically taking lead-style yoga classes where you go in and at 9 a.m. in the morning, you and 20 other people start the class with the teacher, and the entire 90 minutes, the teacher's talking at you, telling you what to do, and maybe even also demonstrating what to do or doing their own practice in the room with you. And that is a Western phenomenon that has been created for various reasons.
The teacher?
The lead class. The teacher-led-based classes. Because Mysore-style practice, what is that? Mysore-style practice is an individualized practice for each and every person. You start whenever you start. So for our studio and the way that any Mysore class works around the world, you have a block of time. So for example, from 6:30 a.m. until 11 a.m., you can walk into the Yoga Shala and you can start practice. How does that work? Because the teacher can work with a new student, whereas people that have been coming in for a while started out as a new student. So the new students can get more of the attention of the teacher.
Yeah.
In the beginning, we sit you down and we teach you how to breathe, and we teach you about the bandhas and the drishti system. And then we stand you up and we'll demonstrate a sun salutation A, have you do 5 of those on your own, talk you through maybe 3 of those, and then have you practice 2. And then we'll move you on the sun salutation B the same way. We'll demonstrate a sun salutation B. We'll talk you through 2 or 3 sun salutation Bs, and then have you try to attempt 2 or 3 on your own. And each day that you come to class, we are building upon the foundation which you've created the days before, and we're also adding to that foundation. And how fast you move through the sequence of the quote-unquote primary series or second series, or any of the series is for that matter, is a combination of how fast you remember things, how ready your body is to take on postures. You know, maybe you need to gain strength in certain areas, so you might have to work on a few postures for a while until you have that kind of strength. Or maybe it is a flexibility thing, or maybe it is an agility or a balance or an endurance or a stamina thing. But because every human being is so different, I'm not putting you in a box with 20 other people and saying, do all these things, because that is how a lot of people get hurt. But it also really messes with people's minds. Like people in lead classes, I think, tend to really look around the room and compare themselves to others and either boost their ego up and think I'm better than everybody, or like I'm never going to be as good as that Susie over there. God, she's so perfect in her practice and I just suck. You know, it really helps you through Mysore-style to really be good where you are. And that's the whole purpose of yoga, is to be where you are. And through this practice, I think you can learn to be happy and content wherever you are. But at the same time, you're putting forth effort to continue to advance and grow and evolve. And with Mysore-style practice, you can really quantify your growth. You can say, okay, well, a month ago, I couldn't touch my toes, and now I can touch my toes. Right. And a month ago, I didn't remember this much, this sequence, and now I can remember that. So truly, the Mysore-style practice really helps you so much mentally, physically, and spiritually. And it lets you work at your own pace in a safe space, with a teacher helping you, but it is independent. But you're not just going to be thrown to the wolves. It's not like you walk into the classroom and we're like, okay, get on your mat and go do your thing.
Yeah, right, figure it out.
There's a very specific structure to it. And I think that's a misconception a lot of people have if they've heard of Mysore. Is they're like, oh, that's the hardcore yoga. We don't do that.
Is that what it's known as? Like it's hardcore?
I mean, that's a lot of what I hear is it's hardcore or it's too serious.
Well, because one of the things that you require is you got to go like at least 3 days a week when you start, because otherwise you're not. It's
kind of a waste. I mean, if you don't come 3 days a week, especially in the beginning, you're not going to remember what we're working to build. Yeah. So you're going to look at me and you're going to say, can you please tell me what's coming next? And I'm not your mother. Right. I mean, that's how I feel about it. Like, I'm here to teach you. I'm here to empower you. And like, I'll be honest with you, it is the worst business model. It is the worst financial business model ever.
Right, because you got to really it's a dedication thing.
It is a dedication thing. And the truth is, once I teach you the sequence, then you don't need to come in. You know what I mean? Nobody really looks at it that way because they like the atmosphere and they're constantly learning more and evolving.
There are benefits to being there.
Oh my God, so many. I mean, where adjustments or the verbal cues or helping you get new postures or, there's so many reasons. But my point being, though, that I'm not trying to get you so hooked on needing me. Right. I don't want you to need me. I want you to be empowered. I want to be a place where you can come and you can learn the basics and then you can go be accountable for yourself, whether you're home, whether you're in a hotel room in San Diego, whether you're at the Shala or in New Zealand or wherever you are. You can roll out your mat because you have a daily dedicated self-practice, not for me, but for you. A lot of people, when I travel, they don't want to come in because I'm not there and there's a sub. But that's also ridiculous. I mean, you get attached to your teacher, and I'm not saying that. I mean, I get very, very attached to my students. My God. When people move away, I'm just like, why are you leaving me?
Why are you doing this to me?
I need you to stay. I don't care about your job offer in New York. But
right, yeah.
But it's beautiful. I mean, it's such a beautiful practice. And with lead classes, you really, please don't think that I'm downplaying it by any means. And we do a lead class on Fridays, but for different reasons. But it's kind of like a pack of wolves, like you're trying to either keep up with the group or you're helping to set the tone of the pace of the practice. And, your breath might be faster or slower than the teacher's count. Maybe you can't do those poses, but you're attempting them because you don't want to look foolish. And then you end up pulling your groin muscle. Yeah. There's so many reasons why I love the way we teach.
Yeah, it's for me. I've always been kind of like when it comes to learning new things in the series. I've always just kind of been a little timid. Because even if you don't do that much, if you just do really the the basic of the standing, and then I was doing maybe like a quarter of the seated stuff before I went into the back bends and
all the finishing
sequences. So I don't do a lot of complicated stuff. I'm doing like Marchiasana D and stuff a little bit. So it's kind of like to me, that's a really big deal.
That is a really big deal.
And it's still kind of I'm still very timid about it. Like if I don't practice like 5 days a week, I don't even really try doing it, you know, because it's just, it does kind of take your body's got to be, I can't just go from cold to that, right?
Exactly.
It starts having demand. You got to your practice gets you there. You got to do the first hour of practice to get into some of those postures. But even if I don't do those more complicated ones or like really go to the edge all the time, just the routine is
amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah, and like you said, it's empowering. So let's see. You got the guided meditation, you got the essential oils. You're not traveling anymore for the teaching?
Not right now.
Are you gonna do any videos for like the primary series or anything like that?
I do on my YouTube page, Krista Shirley Yoga, youtube.com/Krista Shirley Yoga. There's a couple of tutorials. Like there's a tutorial actually for the Sun Salutation A, Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salutation B, and I think all of the standing sequence, if I'm not mistaken. So we have some of the videos up, but yeah, those are things that will happen eventually. Yeah.
Are there, because you spent so much time in India, are there other like American Ashtanga yoga teachers that you kind of came up with that you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's
I don't know, like I'm kind of curious about like, because my Ashtanga world is the
Very
Shala
small,
here,
yeah.
you know?
I mean, well, if you go on the website, I want to say it's sharatjoyce.com. A lot has changed through the years, but sharatjoyce.com, you can get a list of all of the authorized and certified teachers around the world.
Okay.
And I mean, there's probably a couple of authorized and certified teachers in almost every, not certified, but authorized at least in every state in the US. And then around the world, it's incredible. I mean, especially if you go to like Europe and Asia, because it's so easy to get to India from there.
Yeah.
There's quite a few more. But the list is growing and growing and growing.
Are some of those people that you kind of came up with, so to speak, over the years, were those the ones you were traveling to? Did they start their own businesses and stuff like that too?
Well, I didn't travel. What do you mean travel to there? Like
so
to
when
teach workshops
you were
and
doing
stuff?
workshops,
Oh
traveling
yeah,
workshops,
well, like for example, I go almost every year to my Faith's Mecca in Woodley Park in DC. She owns a Shala. She's level 2 authorized like me.
She visited here too before, I think.
She has.
I haven't met her, but
she's amazing.
I remember hearing her name. Faith.
And I mean, I go there every year and teach a workshop, and we were in India together almost every year. And one of my friends, Elise Espat, she owned a studio in Albuquerque, New Mexico for years. She did close it down, but I used to go teach there several times a year. And she's also level 2 authorized and a very, very dear friend of mine. And, there Tim Feldman, Keno McGregor, many trips to India.
Miami,
I've been in India when they've been there before, and we host them, as often as we can here in Orlando.
Yeah, Tim's coming up. Is he still?
Well, he was supposed to be here this coming weekend, but the coronavirus killed that for us.
So that was his best. Yeah. Yeah.
Not this, but it's supposed to be this coming weekend.
Okay.
But
gotcha.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Don't really want to talk about the coronavirus right now.
The coronavirus. Another good reain to practice yoga if you're in your house, right? I did get to go to Keno's workshop. That was really cool.
Good.
I took 2 of the classes. She did like a whole 3-day weekend. But I came before work and did a couple of them. So yeah, that was the only, that was like one outside of the Shala that I've ever
workshop
experienced.
experience.
And it kind of made me wonder, like, what's this whole world out here?
There is a big world out there, for sure.
The other day, I was in the Shala, and there was, and I thought this was really cool. I think it was the first time I looked around, and the room was pretty full. There was 5 of us in there. So it's not full, but we were all guys.
That happens a lot.
I remember being like, because I remember thinking before, like, I mean, the way I got introduced was through my mom and my sister, and then I don't remember seeing any guys in the first yoga class I went to. But then I look at like all these old Indian teachers, and they're all like, there's so many guys in India, but America was always kind of thought it was like feminine or too feminine.
It's a huge
something.
misconception.
What is that about?
Well, the truth is, fact session here. Women were not allowed to practice yoga for the first 1,000 years it existed because we were considered unclean because we had things like menstrual cycles and we had birth and stuff like that.
This seems consistent with human history.
Yeah. So in fact, yoga was created by men for men to be done with men.
Wow.
And women were not allowed to practice for a long time. And in fact, most of my teachers my entire life have always been men. Actually, all of my yoga teachers have been men. Ronaldo, Guruji, Shrat, and a few others have all been men. So yeah, in the West though, there is this ridiculous assumption that yoga is for women, and because it's for flexibility or it's just this foo-foo thing. And the reality is, no. In fact, it's not only was it really hard, but it was created by men for men.
Yeah, it is ridiculous because it's such a great thing too. It's not like. you're saying like, I don't know. It's not, to me, it's so well-rounded. It's not just about like fitness or the physical. It's about so many things that like it's like something we should be learning in our childhood. Right?
I couldn't agree more.
It's almost like something that's missing for everybody. And I think the only time I've ever had a male instructor was Dash, who's one of
the teachers at the Shala.
at your Shala. And that was it. And it's kind of sad. I think I need to try to pull some more guys in there and be like, and it is like, it's not easy, like you can really challenge yourself as much as you want. And anyone who thinks it's just kind of like this foo-foo stretching thing is
madly mistaken.
Yeah. Because when you were getting me, you were like 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and if you really do the full series, sometimes it's an hour and a half, you're sore, like it's as much as you want. You can push yourself. What do you always say? Like, the only way forward is through, or something. Is that what
the only way out is through? The
only way out is through. And it's not a painless, I mean, not like in a bad way, but like in a way you're pushing.
In a very good way.
Am I describing that fairly? I don't know.
I mean, it's there are moments when it's not pleasant, but your practice should be a mirror of your life. You don't want to come in and physically hurt yourself, but you're working through physical and mental stuff, both in your body and outside of your body, because remember, we keep a lot of emotions stored in physical areas, in our hips or our back. We have bad posture. We might be overweight, all these different things. And as you're creating a more consistent yoga practice, you're working through all those things. And the only way out is through, meaning the only way to get to the other side, or as I love Joe Dispenza says, the only way to get to the other side of the river is to cross it. And you can't cross it without, having to bump into those roadblocks. And those roadblocks can be uncomfortable, very physically uncomfortable, mentally very uncomfortable.
It's one of the most intense things for me is back bends. Like now they're getting deeper, but like it was something for a long time. I was like, I can barely do it, and it was just such an intense sensation. Not painful, but just like
intense.
I had to breathe through it, And I wondered something about like Western men mentality, where it's like dealing with your emotions is just not cool or whatever, and that you can't not deal with your emotions and learn yoga at the same time. Like it's very much required.
Exactly. Which is, I think that's part of the biggest reason that people don't want to do. It's not even just men, truthfully. I mean, I think that many people get into this honeymoon phase of yoga. And I'm specifically referring to Mysore-style. Because with the Mysore-style, you don't have the teacher in your ear all the time. When you're doing leg classes, it's sort of a social hour. And you have a teacher to help you get out of your mind. But when you get into the Mysore-style, once you've learned enough of the sequence that the teacher doesn't have to talk at you much, then it's you battling with your thoughts. And going back to the idea of meditation, Ashtanga Yoga Mysore-style is a moving meditation practice because you're working with your breath and your body movements. But as you're doing your asana practice, you have to really learn how to get rid of those thoughts.
Right.
Or if they come up, or if it's strong emotions or strong memories that come up, they're going to create intense feelings.
Yeah.
And so once people, I think, in the honeymoon phase of this practice, people are like, oh my God, I feel so good. I'm sleeping better. I'm eating better. I'm just feeling better.
Right.
And once you get, not that stuff ever stops by any means, but once you really get seasoned after like 3-6 months, then the demons start to show up. And those demons show up because you have to face them for them to go away. And a lot of people, I think, either they stick with it and they move past it and really reap the benefits, or they give up on that practice and they go back to CrossFit or to running or to weightlifting or to whatever else they, not that those are bad. Those are all wonderful ways to move.
The difference though is like, are you trying to distract your mind, or are you trying to like face it? I think.
Exactly.
And you can't your yoga is all about facing it. That's something you don't get as much in the lead classes either, I don't think.
No.
You're really with yourself when you get this memorized. Wow, yeah. That 3 to 6 months is about right too for me. Like when I started, I remember being like full force, like I feel great, like this is awesome, this is my life, I got this. And I mean I do, but there's ebbs and flow, and some days it is still hard to get up. And if you have like these, life happens and the negativity starts coming around, and when you start having to deal with that very like head on, the benefit is you deal with it and you get over it quicker or whatever you have control. But you might cry,
Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay. Whatever. Well, let's see. Is there anything you want to we got like 10 minutes or so left if you want. Anything you've been interested in lately? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, I will say I do love Joe Dispenza. So if you've never heard of Joe Dispenza, he is really into epigenetics and meditation, retraining your mind.
Okay.
And this idea that we really do have control over our mind and we really can change our genetic destiny by changing our thoughts. So check him out on YouTube. Like I have several of his guided meditations. I just love how scientific yet how spiritual he is at the same time. He's done a genuinely genius job of that. And as I'm getting older and older, I've always been very physical based. The asanas are such a foundation for me. And I've always loved meditation, but the older I get, the more I really delve deeper into that side of practice. And what's cool about him specifically is, he's teaching people pranayama and he's teaching people very yogic based practices, but he doesn't use those terms. So it kind of reminds me of when I first started doing yoga, taking away these weird Sanskrit terms that scare people,
right?
Making it very accessible to everybody. And so if you're out there and you really kind of, you're itching a little bit to do more, but it does intimidate you, he's a great foundational place to start because he grounds it in true scientific study to help you wrap your head around how can meditation really benefit me so much physically and emotionally. I love him.
Looking yoga as a science is what got me to keep coming back. Because there are other like philosophical elements to it. There's a spiritual element to it. There's even like the religious aspects. And I really actually like a lot of the stories I hear about, like Adi Yogi and Patanjali, all the the sutras, even like the Bhagavad
Gita.
There we go, yeah. And also I studied literature at Rollins and stuff, so I'm just kind of like any kind of like stories like that.
Did you study with Leslie Laws?
Oh yeah, she taught me grammar.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
She was the hardest teacher. The hardest class I ever took was her class.
I love that so much.
Yeah, I love her. Isn't she so amazing?
She's amazing.
She's one of your students a long time. And you were one of her students, right?
Yes.
Right? What class did you have with her?
I took a writing class with her.
Okay, creative?
A long time ago.
Creative writing? Okay, yeah. She taught her editing class like an arithmetic class or an algebra class or something. Like
really?
It was drills, right? So everyone in that class is in humanities, right? They're all about like words and thoughts and communication, all that kind of those kinds of things, critical thinking. No one's got into that to be like, no one in there is like really good at math, right? And the reason I say it's like math because she teaches it like a neuroscience, like patterns, and how it's very similar to like the way we break down sentences it's very mathematical. The way our minds categorize, different parts of a sentence, different, where like the preposition and the predicate and the like the subject go, and the verbs, all these things, the different types of punctuation, syntax. These are all very like she talked a lot about neuroscience, and her quizzes usually every other test we would take it would be like write a paragraph or write like so many pages on your thoughts on this piece of text. But hers was like break these, break everything down into parts, and you had a lot of multiple choice things. But it was very mathematical. Like it just felt like doing math. I don't know how else to explain it.
Interesting, very
interesting. And
interesting.
she had the highest dropout rate in her class than any other class in that program because it was so hard. And I got an A.
Congratulations!
Pretty happy about that.
A little secret. Dr. Anderson, who's also one of our teachers, he's a mathematician at Rollins.
Oh yeah.
I took his statistics class at Rollins, and it was so bad I had to drop out of the class.
Was it?
Not bad that he did it bad.
Right,
I was so bad
like
at it.
I'm not a math.
And he didn't remember that when he met me many years later to start doing yoga. I mean, I don't.
So he didn't remember that you were a student.
No, and I hope he never hears this.
That's so funny. Wow. No. But Leslie, I would love to have her on here.
And she does all of her own private coaching too.
She just created the Life Studio.
Life Studios,
right?
Yeah, and she has her own Tia method journal, Think, Intend, Ask. It's phenomenal. Okay. You guys check that out if you're interested. I would get on Amazon and just check out Tia Journal by Leslie Lezlie Laws. Yeah, throw a little thing too. It's a really great journal. She has a 30-day and a 90-day journal, and it helps you to really, it's a gratitude journal, but it's so much more than that. It's kind of more scientific, like you were saying, where you spend, a minute to really give thanks for all the things you're grateful for in your life, and then you spend a few minutes intending how you wish to feel throughout the day.
Just the daily thing?
Yes.
Journaling?
Yes.
In the morning?
Yes.
Do you usually do it I think you told me before your practice.
First thing in the morning.
You wake up.
First thing.
Jot down. How long do you usually differ?
It depends. Yeah, I mean, some days if I only really have 5 minutes, then 5 minutes. Some days 30 minutes. You know, just kind of depends on how much time I have to leisurely spend on such enjoyable things.
Right. Yeah. No. She teaches she did workshops for how to live more creatively. I think she helps people just rediscover their creative selves.
Absolutely. And also to reinvent yourself too. Yeah. And she's done for my Ashtanga apprenticeship program, she's come in and taught the Yoga Sutras. She comes in and talks about the Tia. She has so many different workshops that she teaches, and she basically does a lot of life coaching, but she doesn't like that word. But to better help most people understand, she does that, but times a billion. She's brilliant.
Yeah. She taught a class at the Orlando Art Museum, a workshop. And it was helping you be creative, right? How to live more creatively. And she had a series of different workshops set up. And one of them was, they were all using kind of the art as prompts to start some kind of creative writing or ideas or discussions. And one thing she would have us do is go around Orlando Art Museum and they have different sections. They have more classical section, wherever they have stuff that's more contemporary, and kind of pick an area and use the paintings as a way to start writing.
Okay.
And she has all these exercises. She has a book too with all these different exercises. And for me, I like to write music and things, or even if I do kind of journaling, usually it ends up trying to be more creative. And the best way for me to kind of just sit down and write about myself has always been to put a kind of creative fiction spin on it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And when I went to her class, most of the people in her class were middle-aged and older, and they were at a place where they were just trying to find, I think, a lot of retired people who, not all, there was actually quite a range, but what kind of surprised me was there's people there that were looking, the value they found from their own lives now that they were retired was being creative, and they had to rediscover that because they lost it during their regular careers or, what have you. But I'd love to have her on here.
Well, maybe you should work on that. I'm definitely a fan of that. I'd love to hear her on here too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
We'll do it again.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I appreciate you because it's still an early show and I'm just getting my feet wet. So.
Well, I'll have you anytime you want to.
Awesome. Thank you. Krista Shirley, we will have all the information about you, the Yoga Shala, all the cool online stuff you do, and the links. And I want some more essential oils.
Absolutely.